Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you 5 simple Minecraft base ideas which you can recreate in any of your worlds. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe with notifications so that you'll never miss another one of my videos. It really helps out a lot, and it really, you have no idea how much it helps. Anyways, without further ado, let's hop right into the video. Also, this is my first video, so I do apologise if anything goes wrong. I'm not that good at this. I don't usually talk. But if you have any suggestions for future videos, just in general for making videos, then please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. They really help out a lot. It means a lot to me. Now, the first base idea in this video is the cave base. Now, I'm sure all of you must have built this at least once in any world, whether creative or survival. It's a very simple base. I used stone, cobblestone and andesite, as they're all grey blocks and work together very nicely. I've also used spruce planks and fences. And in here I've got a little room with your bed, your chest and your crafting table. All your essentials. Now, what I like about this base is how easy it is to build. All you've got to do is find some sort of cliff or mountain. Then you can either start punching a hole in it, you can find a cave to start building in, or what I did is I got some TNT, some flint and steel. And what I did, as you could probably guess by now, I punched a hole in the cliff, placed down TNT, lit the TNT with my flint and steel, and voila! You have a small hole where you can start building your base. Now you will need to do this a few times, as stone has quite a high blast resistance, but if you're building it in dirt or any softer block, then this should be no problem. Like so, you have a small sort of cave where to start building in. Now, this base can be built very early in survival. If you just started your survival world, you need a shelter for the first night. You can easily just punch a hole in the wall like so, and just create yourself a little living space. You can place your bed, your chest, all of that. I do this quite a lot in my survival worlds, simply because I'm not good at survival, but you can always improve the base as you go along if you don't like how it looks at first. The base can easily be expanded. As you can see here, I have two sort of indents in the walls. You can continuously punch in and then build a larger space like this, where you can just continue adding rooms. I wouldn't build upwards or expand upwards, as eventually you'll reach the surface and it'll become a bit awkward then. Instead, I go downwards like so, because once you've gone down a decent amount, about Y level 40, 30, you can then just start going straight, as you'll be underground pretty much all the time. This is a very simple base, very nice. The colour palette is, it's mostly grey, using stone, cobblestone and andesite. Then you can use any sort of wood, doesn't have to be spruce, for just any other blocks you want. So this was the first base idea. Tell me what you think about it in the comments, and leave any suggestions below. Anyways, let's move on to the second base idea. Now, for the second base idea, if caves just aren't your type and you want something a bit more modern, then you should probably build a modern base. Modern bases are geometrical, and they can be built in any sizes. They can be big, they can be small, anything you want really. Modern bases usually use smooth blocks, usually concrete. You can also use things like terracotta, or you can really use any block. Smooth stone also works well. Now on the interior of my base. See, I've used a lot of birch planks as the floor. I've got carpets. I've got my bed here in a corner of the house. I've got a small desk. I have decoration like bookshelves, flower pots, just books and item frames. I have my crafting table, my chest. I also have a furnace and I put a pressure plate on top just for decoration. And for lighting I just have a single end rod. As this is a relatively small house, don't need that much lighting, so a single end rod should do for the entire base. Now, when building a modern bases are usually geometrical, like this. I've got two cuboids overlapping each other. That's generally when you think of a modern base. This is what I think of. So, you build a plan like this. Let's just go something small. You pick two main colours. In this case, I just use white and grey concrete. They work nice. And you build something like this as sort of plan. Then, with the other block, you'd overlap it with your previous block. At least this is what I do whenever I build a modern base. So for instance here, I'm building up with my grey concrete, overlapping it with my white concrete, like so. You always want to leave a bit of space between the end of the block and the end of a shape and with another end of a shape, if you understand what I mean. Otherwise it will be very difficult to build a side, simply because it would be too small. But something like this would do. Obviously you can't live in here, but you get the idea. These are sort of shapes. It's like this, except the colours and are just mixed around. Then for windows, I'd use white stained glass panes, as they have a very nice colour. And the reason I just think panes are just overall nicer than glass blocks, as they're thinner and, well, yeah, they're thinner. So here's a sort of, it looks modern, right? It serves no use, it serves no purpose, but it just looks modern. Now with modern bases, usually you'd have a wooden floor, or at least that's what I find I tend to do. You can have any floor you like. You can have light grey concrete. Light grey concrete does well. You also have smooth stone. And if you're using planks, I reckon you can use any plank, but I prefer using light planks, especially birch wood, as it has a nice beige colour to it. Now, modern bases really stand out from your normal Minecraft terrain. Like, if you have these sort of trees, modern bases will look really different from them. So, modern bases, if you want to show off your building skills or something, just build a modern base. They really stand out. Whenever someone walks by, they're not gonna miss this. They're really not. I'd recommend building a modern base in a plains biome, not only because they're flat and easy to build, but because I think it fits in with the sort of grass block, if you understand what I mean. But you can build it in any biome you like. Desert, taiga, forest, any biome you like. Modern bases doesn't really matter which biome you build in. But anyway, that was my second base idea. Now let's move on to the third one. Now on to my third base idea. As you can see, I'm in the desert biome, so you can probably guess that it's a desert base. So here I've built a sort of pyramid and added pillars to the left and right side of it. There's smoke coming from the inside of the pyramid and from the pillars from campfires. And I've got a sort of entrance. It has no door, but then again, did the cave base have a door? You can always add one in if you would like. So here, I've used sandstone, cut sandstone, smooth sandstone. I've really only used sandstone. They're cheap blocks and they look relatively nice. For storage I've used barrels, as if you place a block above them they could still open. And here I've got my bed, my crafting table and my furnaces. Now when building a desert space, it can be a bit awkward to place your furniture because, especially here, it's the sort of square, there's not much. The campfire provides the lighting for the entire base. Now desert bases, here I've built a pyramid with 2 pillars, but you can build them any way you want. There is no set shape, as really it's just using sandstone and similar blocks and making a home out of them. Example, if I were to get sandstone, just build a small simple base, if you must, like so. This would also work, although I don't think it looks nearly as good as this, but you could do this if you really wanted. What I'm saying is, desert bases, you can build them any way you like. There is no set way to build a desert base. As well as, like there is no set way to build a desert base, there is also no set colour. For example, you can use terracotta and technically it could still be a desert base if you build it in, let's say, a mesa biome. So here I have light blue terracotta. I could just do the same, although it doesn't look like it. It looks relatively, I'd call it a desert base. Building this in a mesa biome would fit in really nicely. So here, this is an example of making a base using light blue terracotta, very simple. But I'd call that a desert base as well. It doesn't matter what block you use for a desert base. It doesn't matter how you build it. As long as it has a sort of desert effect or feeling to it, then I'd consider it a desert base. There isn't much else to say about a desert base. The blocks are cheap. You really just get sandstone, a lot of it, and just build it any way you like. Or you can use terracotta, well, any block. So this is a desert base. There's not much more to say really. So without further ado, let's move on to the 4th base. Now for my 4th simple base idea, as you can see I'm in an ice spikes biome. It's an igloo base. Now igloo bases, like desert bases, are very cheap. Mostly use snow blocks. Here I've added some packed ice just for extra effect, and use some glass for the roof. And inside the igloo base, I've scattered white carpets around, have a simple bed design, a crafting table, smokers. I have barrels with spruce wood and trapdoors. So I personally think they glue well together, especially with the snow. And in the middle I have a campfire to provide light for the entire base. And I've added trapdoors around it to sort of hide it. Campfire goes through a hole in the roof, creating smoke on the outside. Now, igloo bases, on the inside, if you have a campfire like I do, then it actually feels relatively cozy. The snow actually looks soft. The campfire radiates heat, sort of. And it's like a place where you'd like to snuggle in, and it's just cozy. On the exterior of the base, I've got packed ice in a sort of spikes around the base, sort of. I just think it creates a nice effect. And in the middle I've got some light blue stained glass, just so you can see in and out of the base from the roof, otherwise there'd be no windows. Now this igloo base is actually relatively, it's not that simple, I'd say, but really the concept is you just build a sort of igloo. We all know what an igloo looks like, right? So you do something similar to this. a sort of spherical shape, or in this case it's more of a cube, but you build up and then you have the entrance as a tunnel sticking out. You build up like this and create a sort of dome, since igloos in real life are pretty much domes of snow. Then like this, you sort of, the inside you've got ready. You just need to add a roof. Inside you can add just your lighting, your chests, beds, crafting tables, furnaces, everything you need. And it's very simple. The reason I'm using snow is because for some reason in Minecraft, so I'm not complaining, snow does not melt. Whether you put a torch next to it, you light it on fire, it will not melt. Well, fire I'm not sure, but if you put any lighting next to it, it will not melt. With normal ice like this, if you put a torch next to it, it will melt. Packed ice doesn't melt, blue ice doesn't melt, but normal ice, and also just this sort of snow here, that does melt as well. So I dot that around the exterior instead of on the interior. But this is pretty much how you build an igloo base. They're very cheap using snow blocks, but there's not much else to it. If you build it, it can help improve building with spherical shapes. They don't have to be spherical, but then it would really be an igloo. And with igloo bases, you can create a cozy effect inside if you just add maybe a campfire, some warm lighting in the interior. But that's pretty much an igloo base. So without further ado, let's get to the fifth and final base. Now for my fifth and final base idea, as you can see I'm back in the plains biome. It's a treehouse design. Now here I've made myself a small custom tree, but you don't need to make your own tree. You can use saplings with bone meal. Let's say I can grab an oak sapling, I can get some bone meal. You could try get a sort of large oak tree, just naturally generated. A bit like this, except larger. For example, here, like an oak tree like this. This would work great for a tree house. You don't have to make your own tree. But anyway, in this treehouse, I've got ladders which lead upwards through a trapdoor onto your first floor, where you have a chest, carpets, planks, and just leaves all around. And a nice view. You have the sun, you have the river. Then you have a staircase leading up to the second floor, with your bed, your furnaces, your crafting table, the even nicer view of the swamp and the mountains in the distance. For lighting, I just use lanterns with oak fences. So I find that they work pretty well. They're warm lighting. I just like lanterns in general. Here I've added some fences with fence gates, just to sort of look like the platform is being suspended or held up. And if you look closely, I've got branches coming from the trees with leaves surrounding them. And here you can't really see anymore, but the branches are sort of encasing the room, as if it's sort of, the branches are a hand and it's holding the platform in place. It's a nice design. One thing is, it's relatively safe from mobs. If you have a zombie, it will climb the ladder, but it can't get through the trapdoor. Creepers won't be able to climb ladders. Skeletons, they can't climb up the ladders. Really, it's just nothing really can get in. So as long as you keep your rooms well lit, you're pretty much mob proof. And you can snipe them from a distance from your platforms when there's an opening. Now these bases are they're not as simple as the other bases. I have a path here that leads up to a tree. The tree house really. So you find a tree here. Then what I've done, I've gotten oak planks and ladders And what I've done is, I've pretty much, well, this is very simple, but I've put a platform on the tree, then put ladders that lead up to the platform. Basically, this is a treehouse. This is a very simple treehouse. You'd want to protect your platforms a bit, otherwise you may accidentally fall off, or a skeleton could shoot you and you'd fall. And you want to put a trapdoor so no other mobs can get in. But tree houses, just like this can be considered a tree house. You can I'd use oak leaves to encase your platforms as walls instead of just using oak planks. But you can use planks if you really want. I personally think leaves look better though. Now, if you've been building for a bit and you feel quite confident with your building skills, like I've done, you can build a custom tree except much bigger, with room on the inside of the trunk. On the inside of the trunk you can have your platforms there instead, or you can just have them both inside the trunk and in the leaves. But once you're a bit more advanced with building, you can actually have an interior inside the trunk. You can have a sort of staircase spiraling up, or just different floors. But that's a bit more advanced. I wouldn't call it simple. But if you do ever want to improve your treehouse further, you can do that. Another thing with treehouses is, if you're living in, let's say, a forest, then if you build a treehouse, you can expand from tree to tree with, let's say, bridges. You can have bridges from platform to platform on different trees. You could sort of build a village of tree houses. That would look really nice. Tree houses. The main reason for building a tree house is that you're high up. And, well, yeah, you're high up. You have a nice view and you can snipe people. The nice view is really what you'd want to get from a treehouse. Let's say in real life you have a treehouse. Why do you have the treehouse? If I were to answer that question, I'd say it would be because of the view. And I'm pretty sure it's the same in Minecraft. But there you have it. Oak leaves can be gathered easily by using a shear and just shaving the trees nearby. To get this sort of oak wood, I'm pretty sure it just gets oak logs. Then you just put them 4x4 together. I'm not entirely sure, I may be wrong, but I think I remember that's how you get these sort of this wood instead of just the logs. And that's pretty much a treehouse. That was the fifth and final design. And it's nice, simple, cozy. It's pretty mob proof, I'd say. And there you have it. And those were 5 simple base ideas. Please, this is my first video, so please leave any suggestions or tips in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe with notifications. It really helps out a lot. Please leave your favourite design in the comments below. I love reading comments, even though I haven't read any yet, I'm sure I love it. And if you have any more suggestions to further improve any of the bases, feel free to leave them in the comments section below as well. Now if you have any suggestions for future videos, well, also leave those in the comments because I'm out of ideas. So if you have any building related content in Minecraft, I can probably try that at least. Now that's pretty much the video done. Thank you for watching. My name is Dazel. It has been a pleasure having you around. And I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye.